Good morning and welcome to the Training the Trainer podcast with Vince Stevenson. This morning, I'm looking forward to talking to my guest and good friend, Anna Zelno. In May and November 2025, Anna hosted two wonderful diversity and innovation conferences in Wrocław and Benalmadena. Anna's going to tell us about her life as an international trainer and consultant, and she's also working as a diversity and innovation consultant simultaneously. Anna, how's it going this week?
Thank you for having me here, and dzień dobry from Dzierżoniów. I'm still on my extended Christmas holidays in Poland. I know that the name of the town is maybe not really easy to pronounce, Dzierżoniów. And buenos dias for all of you who are watching from Spain. Einen schönen guten Morgen for those in Germany, and salam alaikum to my Mauritanian friends.
Good, very good. So, Anna, before we begin, can I ask you a few questions about your formative years? What were your hobbies and interests, and do you think that they had any impact on the direction of your professional life?
Definitely. And it started with the informal education. Where I was scout, and thanks to my work with scouts, I was scout leader, I learned about the experiential methodology. So what is experiential learning? And this was the first time I was 15. I learned how to design activities. In fact, the work with scouts is about gaining or achieving competences. We call it like this, so or badges. And this is already talent management in the early stage. Of my life. So this is how I went into or started my work as a young person in the field of learning. And I studied my first degrees in German as a foreign language. So I'm a German teacher from the first degree. I got this degree in Poland. Then I moved to Germany because I wanted to continue studies and get the master degree. But I found a better university, an amazing place in the world, which is Germersheim, the faculty at that time called as Faculty for Applied Linguistic and Applied Cultural Studies. And there I fell in love with intercultural communication. So I got this degree, and this is where I learned what is intercultural training. Already in the first year, I started to study it, and I decided that I will not get the degree. I got the degree in translation because I had to study it, but I put focus on everything what is related to intercultural training. And I had an amazing professor. Then I have to say it. I know that she's already saying that it's embarrassing that I'm repeating this so often, but my professor at that time, Professor Andrea Knerim, was the person who really believed in my passion for intercultural communication, in my talent. She empowered me a lot, and thanks to her support, I went this path of developing myself as intercultural trainer at the beginning, because then I changed, and today we work together. And later, as I was already working and with a multinational organization, I understood that I'm lacking the knowledge in human resource management or talent management. So I got a master degree in Spain for talent management. And as it went like deeper and deeper, and I started to be more interested in the systemic approach. So I got another degree in organizational constellation. So it's, in my case, it's lifelong learning, really. So the European Union can be proud of me. I'm really going this way of lifelong learning, what they promote.
I think everybody who knows you is proud of you. So it sounds like you put a lot of hard hours into your studies and, of course, your professional life. So I just want you to roll back a little bit. So you're saying that your first not informal view of training was with the Scouts, which is great. Can you remember your first training role, professional training role? What was it, and what attracted you to that particular aspect?
Yeah, and I think I even know the year. It was 2004, I think, and it was at the university. Andrea Knerim, she was not only the professor for intercultural communication, but she was also she delivered trainings for organized trainings, intercultural trainings for study abroad students, and she invited two of us to be her co-trainers. So this was the first experience as co-trainer, and I remember very well her feedback. So she gave us a lot of space to conduct activities, and one of her feedbacks after the session was that, oh, it was great, but you could have spent more time on debriefing and get deeper in reflecting on experiences. And it was the very first time that I realized how important really debriefing is. And for those of you who are not familiar with the word debriefing, we can say it's the reflection on the experience during a training. Maybe if I can say here, because for me it's very important, this aspect of training is that we do not learn from experience. We really do not learn from experience. We learn from the reflection on the experience. I cannot remember now who said this. I think it was Bert Shaw, but I'm not sure. But it's important that in the training space, we create this dedicated space for reflection.
Okay. Yeah, I think what you're saying there, it sounds very much like Kolb, if you're familiar with Kolb. I'm sure you're familiar with Kolb. So theory and principles, then you practice it, then you get feedback on it, and then you reflect on it. That's the cycle. I use the analogy of learning to drive a car because most adults are familiar with learning to drive a car. At first, you don't know what you don't know, and it could be a bit scary. But as you learn and as you grow and as your knowledge and experience of driving improves, these things become apparent. But yeah, if you keep making the same mistake, then you need to go back to the drawing board and ask why is that, and what can I do differently? What can I do better? So yeah, reflection is a big part of learning for sure. I think some academics say that without reflection there is no learning. So yeah, that's one of the things that I talk about in my classes anyway. Okay, let's move on to your involvement with the diversity and innovation people. When and how did you come across them? When did you connect?
I invited them because I was we co-founded the academy. So it was in 2000, exactly during the pandemic. We were sitting at home. We didn't know what to do with our lives exactly. And people, I always wanted to organize and train the intercultural trainers in Spain, in Spanish, not in Spain, but in Spanish, because I did it earlier in Poland. And so I started to train, develop intercultural trainers. So we had time, and together with friends, with Barbara Covarrubias-Venegas, with Antonio Liu Yang, at that time also with Jean-David Coissignon, we decided to put together a program for intercultural trainers, and people started to ask us, do we get any certificate? And then we thought, okay, so but who should issue the certificate? And I think Antonio said, yeah, an academy. So, but what kind of academy? Oh, Academy for Diversity and Innovation. So this is how the Academy for Diversity and Innovation as a platform, as a community, not community, maybe a small community at the time started. And it started with the belief, it's our strong, really very strong belief that diversity is the source of innovation, is source for creativity. We have to create the good conditions, so really inclusive environment, psychological safety, to enjoy the potential of diversity, but we see it like this. And this way we started to organize courses, meetings, webinars, and the community started to grow. And now you see that last year we had 2 amazing events. We met through the academy. A lot of people already met, some guests who are going to visit, your guests in your podcast. Also, you met them at our event. So we are growing, and we are enjoying learning together. So this is the mission.
Now, I mentioned in my introduction your 2 big conferences, and you just referenced them a moment ago. You're a very busy woman. You do a lot of traveling. What was it like to organize 2 big events, 2 very, very big events in 2 different cities? within 6 months. So that must take its toll in some way.
This is a great idea. Anyway, this is one of the benefits of, it's a benefit, a privilege of being an ADHD person and having this ADHD brain. So now I have a paper for it. So now I was diagnosed last year, and now I understand that I can really do it. It's my brain, how it works. I'm addicted on dopamine. So more actions, more activities, more challenges. I love challenges. If someone told me, okay, you will not manage, then I will prove, yes, I can manage. Yeah. But there are a lot of work, a lot of people behind the stage. So I didn't do it alone. So Barbara Covarrubias, Barbara Brandota in the last edition, also in the first, Sylvia Gutierrez. So a lot of people were helping with.
Yeah, you have a great team, that's for sure. So I was going to say that when somebody tells me that you can't do that, I like to show them otherwise. So that's just me. I'm just quite obstinate. There we are. Right. So let's move on to your consultancy work and your training work. So what problem in organizations are you most determined to resolve right now, and why?
I think in the last year, there's a pattern related to engagement. So that the engagement is dropping, employees' engagement is dropping, and we help to first see what are the reasons and how can we improve it. We know that people, they feel engaged when they feel that they belong. And they feel that they belong when they're accepted with all their uniqueness, when they feel included and heard. So we help organizations to create these inclusive spaces. And we do it in a very practical way. So with inclusive spaces, I don't mean like a corner in the company. It can be an idea, a place where people meet and talk. But I mean activities. So, for example, one of our favorite activities is meaningful conversations. Meaningful conversations are guided conversations when people can talk about their differences. We work with a concrete specific tool. We work with Global Disk, so I will not go into the details, but what we do is we facilitate this meaningful conversation. People can accept their differences, see how can they learn from each other. And this is one of the activities. But what we do is we start with the strategy. So we've co-designing the strategy, and the strategy, of course, is based on the audit in organization. So I don't know how many details would you like to hear, but most of the problems are related to engagement. And especially because we work as intercultures, we work a lot with multinational companies. Our claim of the company is working better globally. So in multinational companies and in international teams, there's often this challenge of understanding different perspectives, the values behind the behavior, the beliefs. So we help people understand each other perspectives better. First understanding differences and then look for commonalities. I have to recognize this is something new. In the last years, I was really very focused on the intercultural competence. And now, thanks to the Elevate project, there is a shift in my professional life also towards the transcultural competence, and the differences that between intercultural and transcultural is that we focus even more on searching for commonalities and paying more attention to how relations are being developed. And in this transcultural, is also trans means beyond. For us at Intercultures especially, it's very important that we go with the learning outcomes of our training programs beyond the company, beyond the workspace. We go to the families, to the society. So what people learn during our sessions, they should bring it into the families. They should be able to talk about differences during their meetings with family gatherings or friends. And I think this is what we really need now. And I think this is where I feel that, okay, I'm on the mission now. We need to create more spaces also to talk about differences. Okay, looking for commonalities, of course. This is the main idea, but learn to talk about differences in a way that we feel comfortable and we see them as a source of growth and source of innovation, creativity, learning.
Okay, thank you. Now, we last met about 6 weeks ago in Spain, and since then, in fact, a few days ago, you sent me a very, very comprehensive briefing document. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and pick a few, I see questions from what you sent me, if that's okay, and we'll take it from there. Are you okay with that?
Sure. I hope I will know the answers because I only sent the questions.
Oh, I think you know the questions. All right. So when did you realize
the questions are not the answer?
I'm sure you know the answers as well. So when did you first realize intercultural competence isn't enough and that we need a transcultural lens?
Yeah, this was in the Elevate project. Last year, at end of 2023, maybe I will start with the beginning. So I was so tired with requests from client asking us for 2 hours intercultural competence workshop or 2 days intercultural competence workshop, and if we can measure the competence before and after, because they need something like proof that the training worked and so on. And I said, okay, but it's really like impossible to develop intercultural competence within 2 hours or 2 days or 2 weeks even. And I said, okay, we need really a shift and we need to prove to the business that intercultural competence development requires another methodology that really can ensure sustainable learning outcomes. And I invited 3 universities, 2 other consulting companies, and we applied for an Erasmus Plus project with the idea and the objective to develop this new methodology. The first step before we started to define the new methodology and work on it was a desk research. And we started to research about what has been done already in the field of intercultural competence, what the research says, what practitioners are doing, and so on. And then we found the concept of transcultural competence. And the concept is not new, but it was popularized in the last years, especially by 2 researchers from Germany, by Julika Baumann-Montesinos and Tobias Grünfelder. And we started to research more and search for more explanations or theories, frameworks, what is behind. Finally, we ended up invited them to the project. So now Julika and Tobias are also part of the Elevate. And we developed this methodology that focuses on transcultural competence and not only intercultural competence. So yeah, I found this concept last year, even if I've heard about it before, because von Strompeners, he wrote a book, I don't know how many years, about his transcultural, I think it was transcultural management and 4 R's of transculturality, where we reconcile dilemmas and so on. So the concept is not really new, but I think it was not popular as it is now.
Okay. Yeah. All right. What do most companies get wrong when they treat culture as an individual skill instead of an organizational capability?
Exactly. So another thing that we started to look at during the Elevate is that we shift focus from individuals to organizations. And your question was what was wrong when the focus was only on individuals, right? So if we want to change something in the organization, we have to look at the organization as a system. And in this organization, there are different departments, different teams. The organization is also part of a bigger system. All the stakeholders around have an impact on the organization, what's going on. So the more systemic approach towards organizations is helping us also to develop transcultural competence of the organization. So it's like different perspective.
Thank you. If you could delete one popular DEI practice because it creates false progress, what would it be?
One false DNI practice. 2 hours unconscious bias trainings. This is something what is already pretty criticized. Some organizations, they really believe that with 2 hours unconscious bias trainings, they will manage to change the organization and make the environment more inclusive and so on. And it's really impossible to create this awareness and become aware of my own biases. And a lot of unconscious bias trainings focus on explaining what are biases, what kind of biases we have, and all this cognitive approach to learning, and it's not enough. So we have to have enough time to observe our behavior in different contexts, to observe what are our biases. So biases, for those of you who are not familiar with the concept, are kind of shortcuts in our head. And we can have a bias towards someone or against someone, and mostly we are not aware of it. So definitely the book that explains it perfectly is the Daniel Kahneman book, Think Fast, Think Slow, that explains how we think. But yeah, for me, responding to your question is that this 2 hours or even 30 minutes micro learnings on unconscious bias, this will not solve the equity in the organization. Yeah.
Okay, right. So what does designing for transfer mean in practice? What do you do differently from standard training design?
I think, and this is something also that I discovered last year, thanks to Melanie Martinelli and the certificate, the course I took with her in May. The design for transfer means that there's another approach towards learning. So we design a training or an activity thinking about how it can be applied in the organization or in the workplace, in the life of this person. And we think more about the transfer goals. So what can we do? How the organization can help us also to apply the learning, the new skills in the workplace. So it's basically thinking all the time about how to apply it. And there are different aspects of it. One of the my favorite is the volition, the training volition. So it's more than motivation and more than willingness to really keep learning. So it's something very interesting to see. But yeah, in transfer, design for transfer is not only thinking about participants, it's also thinking about the whole organization and having the impact of our action as trainers in mind.
Okay, I just want to pick up on that. So, for example, I run open courses, so I get people from different companies. Yeah, so occasionally I go into companies and work with a team or members of a department, something like that, so that they're all on the same page. But what happens when I have lots of people from different companies? We can work with them. We can share the best of our knowledge and experience, of course, but we don't know what happens to them when they go back to work, because they could be in a different country.
But this is exactly something what you can decide to know, because if in your training you plan a follow-up activity and that you plan that you are going to meet these people in 6 weeks, for example, and you ask them what they were able to apply, or they got some small missions or challenges or something that they should apply, or a project that they should deliver. So you can ask them later what were the challenges while applying, what they have learned from it. And in this follow-up session, you can define next steps and next learning. This is for you also, and for trainers. In fact, the follow-up session, on one hand, is a great feedback if we did our work well. So if the learnings really stick, or sticks, and it's also a great opportunity for business and to offer new solutions, new development, activities and so on. So for us, follow-up is always a part of the learning journey.
Now, I have done that, by the way, and sometimes, so for example, I used to teach IT. I used to teach programming skills, internet programming skills, and we'd do the course. It would be a 4 or 5 day course. Then we would do the feedback for the course, and then we'd follow Kirkpatrick. We'd leave it a couple of months, and then we would follow up again. And you would be amazed about the number of people who hadn't opened the book since they finished the course. And the reason for that it wasn't that they didn't enjoy the course or that they didn't learn anything. It's just that their managers had reprioritized their activities and they've not had the opportunity to pick up on what they learned on the course. And the problem with that, of course, is especially a technical course, programming course, it is highly technical. And Ebbinghouse's forgetting curve kicks in very, very early with that. There's just so much detail. And if you don't get on it very quickly after the class, you lose it. And then, of course, training gets a bad name because you look back on that and it will look like return on investment is zero. And but it's got absolutely nothing to do with what happened in the classroom. It's all to do with what happened afterwards. And similarly, you're saying about volition. When people come into the classroom, if they don't have that volition, if they feel they've been sent on the course for the wrong reasons, or it's not something that they particularly want to personally pursue, that for them would suggest that they have very low volition. And that will have an impact on how much they take away from that training.
Yeah, and this is why the instructional design is so important. Everything what we are doing before delivering the training, so to ensure that the content is relevant. So how we do the needs analysis, how much participants are really involved in what we are offering later during the course of the training. And thinking, because the example I gave you, for example, with the follow-up sessions, I was thinking about the B2B business and our work at Intercultures. But for example, at Academy, where we offer like B2C solutions and courses for individual trainers, also and consultants, during the course, there's a coaching / mentoring process, and we stay in touch with all the participants who want to stay in touch, because many of them, they did the course and then we don't know a lot from them, even if we try to keep contact. But there are a lot of people we still are in touch, and we invite them to projects. We do projects together. So we help them and we support their businesses, so we can see what they have applied, and we learn now together. So I think it's for us at the Academy, it's a very, very important aspect of our work.
Okay, right. Now you mentioned debriefing earlier. Could you just go over for us what does good debriefing look like in detail, and what does bad debriefing? Maybe there isn't anything to say about a bad debrief. So, but what does a good debrief look like?
I think it has to be intentional. You have to know why you are doing this, and you have to save time for it. So I think one of the aspects, like bad debriefing, is that you have an activity of 90 minutes or 60 minutes, and then you plan 15 minutes debriefing. Mission impossible. You are not going to be able to really reflect on the experience that people had in 60 minutes, in 15 minutes. So I think the good debriefing is make people really uncomfortable. So when you ask questions that they make them uncomfortable and you take them out of the comfort zone, not putting them into panic zone, it's dangerous, but really like out of the comfort zone, so that they can reflect on their own thoughts, on their actions, on the behavior, asking always the question, so how can I apply now what I've learned in this activity in my professional or my personal life? So always at the end ask about how to apply what you learned. I think time is an important aspect, and the diversity in a team, because if you have a group of 10 or 12 people, not everyone will feel comfortable to speak about their emotions and feelings in front of the whole group. So you can organize like first small reflections in pairs of three, of two, or in groups of three, and give them space first to maybe share this vulnerability. Something happened during the activity probably that made them uncomfortable. This should be the idea also, that when we aim to teach something or to help people develop skills, we have to make them feel uncomfortable. So yeah, the debriefing is the reflection on this.
Okay, thank you. Right, so you mentioned Elevate and your involvement earlier. Could you tell us what exactly it is and what makes it different, and what change are you creating?
I'm very passionate about this project and also very emotional. I just left a meeting before our podcast. We had an Elevate meeting. And first, Elevate is the name of a project, and this is a European co-founded. It's very important. It's co-founded. It's not founded by European Union, and it's a partnership between 6 different organizations, 3 universities, and 3 consulting companies from Spain, Germany, France, Poland, and Luxembourg. And the idea always of this kind of partnerships is to create something together. It's exactly this transcultural approach, in fact, is using the potential of differences. So in different countries, we use different practices. The scenario, the landscape, the training landscape is different. Not in every country the intercultural studies are advanced at the same level. So the idea is to learn from each other and create something together. And I think one of the challenges we have in Elevate, for example, we are working in a like hyper diverse team, and for most of us, this is something on the top of our work. So we work really under pressure of time. The project is very ambitious because there is now a huge competence in the European Union in order to get the funding. So yeah, our KPIs, our objectives are very ambitious, and we work on creating this new methodology. This is the end outcome of the project. We are now designing the learning path, the learning journey. This is an AI assisted learning also. It's a blended learning. So face-to-face session and also online learning, synchronous and asynchronous activities, and web app assisted. The good thing is that it's the good news, the product will be free of charge, so gratis, because it's co-founded by the European Union. And for me, it's a learning journey. It's a really great learning. It's not easy. I learned a lot about myself, but the most important thing, I guess, for me is that I could find time, and I really could save this time for me for researching and learning and studying. And mostly in our trainers' life, there's not so much time for studying. And thanks to Elevate, I had to study. So I really read a lot. I met a lot of different and very interesting people. I'm still learning from them, and I can apply it, and I see how much also my work has changed. So especially adding this transcultural approach and focusing on creating commonalities much more than only focusing on the differences.
Okay, I think you and I have got very different career paths. I think most people have very different career paths, but you seem to work in very, very big teams, and there's lots of discussion, lots of feedback, and lots of discoveries and things like that. I tend to work pretty much on my own in the classroom. if that makes sense. And I've had a lot of great days, great courses that I've enjoyed, and and I've travelled a lot extensively throughout the world. Wonderful times. But there's also been times when things just go wrong, and I just wonder. The Elevate project sounds great. It sounds like there's some great outcomes coming from it. Have you ever been involved with a really big project that just, whatever you did to it, it just wouldn't work?
I just, you are not talking about now European project, but a project with a client,
I'm talking,
for example.
any
general,
project.
in my professional life. I was working with a company where there were a lot of changes in HR team, and it was great collaboration with the HR, and then the HR director left, and a new person came, and it was international project. And I really demonstrated my lack of intercultural competence. I made a big mistake in my first meeting with the new HR manager, and I lost the project and the client for 1 year. Then she left the company, and now I'm back and I'm working with them. But it was a project where my lack of intercultural competence in action, was a proof that where we are under pressure of time at that time, maybe it was not about time, it was more about what there was something what triggered my reaction, and my reaction was not interculturally competent. So I followed my default mode. So I used my direct communication. I said what I thought in a kind way, in a nice way, but it was not adequate. It was not interculturally competent in that content, in that context. And I lost the project because I didn't develop a good relationship with this woman.
Well, at least you got the project in the first place. Sometimes you can just say the wrong thing in your proposal before, and you don't get the project anyway. So
but in project, when like working with teams, I think one of the biggest problems is that lack of alignment. So I think I was working with some teams where people had different understanding of quality standards, or they were not really aware what is the aim, and they were not clear what is the aim. So this alignment is very important.
All right, thank you. Now, what are the earliest signals that a team is not safe enough to learn, even if they say they are?
This question is related to psychological safety, and this is something, a very important topic for me, because I know that it's also a part of integrity. We are all responsible for creating the psychological safety as team members, for example, and we don't not always do it. I'm just a little bit confused because the meeting I had before, it was not necessarily like a super nice the ending of the meeting, but I think teams, when people don't speak up, when they are afraid of sharing how they feel, when they are not addressing difficulties and tensions openly, this is a signal that there's no psychological safety. So I think there's a lot of confusion about the topic psychological safety, because psychological safety doesn't mean being kind to each other. It's really not about feeling like everyone is friendly and good vibes. And no, it's about addressing tensions, addressing difficult topics, being able to bring them to the table, being yourself, and being accepted by others as you are. I think this is where the team can only learn when there is honesty, and the safe space to talk about difficulties and challenges. And most of the people, they're really afraid of it. And it's also a cultural thing.
I think you may already have touched on this one, but I'm going to ask you the question anyway. So how do power dynamics show up in intercultural misunderstandings, and how do you address them without moralizing?
Yeah, so I think the best way how to address the power dynamics in a team, for example, and during the session or in a group, is first to ensure that you can do it so that there is enough psychological safety that you can address these topics, because power is very difficult topic and uncomfortable, especially for those of them who are holding power and using this power over others. So it's to inviting people maybe for a moment to leave their roles, trying to leave their roles and having a conversation more as like from human to human and not necessarily in their roles. At the same time, we cannot forget that people are in specific roles, and if there's inclusive leadership and inclusive environment, it's easy to address it, and there's no moralizing, and it's more having a conversation. I remember very well I was doing a audit for diversity, equity, and inclusion in a large retail company, and I was traveling between different factories, and you could see how people, when they were talking to each other, how they relate to each other, how they were making jokes and laughing about each other and about the team, and there was really relaxed atmosphere. And there was the plant manager in every focus group, because there were focus groups, not training situation. You could feel as a person who is coming from outside very comfortable, and there were other situations, other plants that you could notice the tension, and you can notice who is talking and who is not talking, the environment is just not inclusive. No.
Okay, right. Where do you see AI genuinely helping learning transfer and transcultural competence, and where is it dangerous, do you feel?
I think AI, I mean like the ChatGPT, for example. So I use a lot ChatGPT to brainstorm, and I create my own customized GPTs where I upload some frameworks or content and approach that I would like to use during the session. And based on this approach, I design the activity. So, for example, there are the 6 principles of adult learnings by Knowles. I think it's the Malcolm Knowles, maybe. So, in order to ensure that I will keep this, that I will follow these principles, I uploaded first the principles to the bot, and I ask that every time when we design an activity, we follow this principles, and the ChatGPT should explain me like how exactly we do it. For example, for learning transfer, for transfer design, I use the 12 levers for transfer, and I also uploaded the 12 levers, and I when I'm designing a program, I try to ensure that I didn't forget any of the levers. This is how ChatGPT is helping me in designing as a trainer. But for learners, I think this kind of large language models have a great potential to develop our metacognition by having a conversations with them. So metacognition is
thinking about thinking.
Yeah, thinking about thinking and recognize the patterns. And thanks to this, we can also recognize our biases and how we take decisions. So having a conversation with ChatGPT, and my ChatGPT, for example, in the settings, I told them, so please challenge my question, also challenge your response. Also, I defined how I want to the style. I didn't really like this always super nice responses. I prefer like very concise, and also I like that ChatGPT disagree with me and so on. So now for Elevate, we are developing a bot that helps to develop metacognition and paying more attention to intercultural relations and having different aspects of our identities, of the context in the communication. So yeah, good. Like we call it. What's the word? Oh, sorry, sparring partner. Yeah, or conversational
sparring
partner.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a good metaphor. Good metaphor. Okay, so last question. I can't believe we've been talking for 45 minutes. It's gone so quickly. So, how do you see DEI moving in the future? What's the next big thing for this discipline?
I can't believe it. I sent you these questions. I should better have prepared answers. So where are we moving towards? I think already last year, the market verified the consulting sector, because the solutions that were very superficial, people realize it doesn't work. So I think now we have much more holistic approach towards D&I. People are not only talking about the business case of diversity, equity, and inclusion, but they see how it really impacts the organization on and stakeholders on deeper level. I think we talk also more about this human-centric approach, about the importance to focus more on people, and in order to focus more on people and their needs, we have to see how to include them, how to realize how different they are, that to accept their uniqueness. So yeah, I think we are going toward more like human-centric approach, and also we have into consideration the broader aspect of organizations, the whole ecosystem.
Okay, thank you.
So I think superficial solutions are already over. So people realized what doesn't work, like 2 hours unconscious bias trainings.
Okay, enough of 2-hour unconscious bias trainings. Okay, yeah, because I get strange requests from HR departments saying, can I work miracles in 2 hours with 50 people? And I just I laugh to myself, but then I just say no. And are you serious? And that's where the relationship ends, because I gave up trying to do miracles a long time ago. So there's just no point in putting your name down for failure, as it were.
Yeah, and I think it's important to realize that just awareness is not everything, and we can create some awareness in these 2 hours, but it's not about awareness. It's about applying skills and fixing problems, finding solutions, growing as a team, as an organization. Yeah.
They want hard outcomes in a 2-hour session, which is pretty difficult to deliver. Okay, Anna, we are going to have to leave it there, I'm afraid. It's been a great pleasure talking to you this morning. So would you please stay on the line for 2 minutes so I can thank you personally? And I just want to say our next session will be with another luminary from the diversity world, Dr. Andrea Martinez-Kelis. So I look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you very much for having me also.
See you. Thank you.